Hi, today Polly and I are making braised pork shoulder. I've made this dish several times, each done slightly differently, so this video will provide more of a guideline rather than an exact recipe. For veggies, I always use 2 onions, and this time I'm also using 2 peeled carrots. I'm gonna have Polly here roughly chop everything into bite-sized pieces. Adding fruit is optional, but they do add some sweetness to the dish. In the past, I've used kiwi and orange to brighten up the overall taste, but this time around, I'm just going to use a couple apples and half a pear that I have on hand, all roughly chopped. For the meat, I recommend using around 4 pounds of boneless pork shoulder. Being boneless makes all the fat removal and portioning much easier. However, this time I got a 10-pound bone-in cut from the store, so I'll have to carve about 4 pounds of meat from around the bone here. I recommend having a sturdy cutting surface, like a damp towel underneath your chopping board, and a sharp knife to make this process as painless as possible. Cutting through skin and fat can be very difficult with a dull blade. If you want to render out some homemade pork fat for future cooking, feel free to set aside and save some of the pork fat trimmings. After cleaning up the meat, chop them into large chunks, roughly 2-inch cubes. Liberally salt and pepper both sides of all of the pieces. To sear the meat, first heat up some oil in a Dutch oven over medium-high heat. Sear the meat for 3 to 4 minutes on both sides, and then set aside in a large bowl. Make sure not to overcrowd the pan, working in batches. I had to do 3 or 4 batches here. Now we'll add a touch more oil and cook down the veggies for about 5 minutes. Make sure to scrape up all the fond from the bottom of the pan with a spatula. Add a strong pinch of salt and then all of the fruit. Stir for a few more minutes until softened. For the seasonings, I'm using a taco seasoning blend since this meat goes great in street tacos and quesadillas, and a few tablespoons of the minced garlic from my previous garlic draws recipe. Now add in all of the meat and braising liquid. I've used just red wine or whiskey in the past, but this time I'm trying a half and half broth and whiskey combination. This will go into a 350-degree oven for at least 3 hours. You can see at the 3-hour mark there was still too much liquid in this dish for me, so I uncovered it and cooked it down for an extra 1.5 hours. And as you can see, almost all of the liquid has concentrated down, and all of the fruit and onions have fully broken down and incorporated into the sauce and meat, with the carrots very soft and the meat nice and tender. Remember to screenshot the recipe card at the end for future reference. Thank you.